day 74 of the 100 Days of Making Comics. The 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge is a challenge started by my buddy Kevin Cross, where you're supposed to spend 30 minutes a day for 100 days consecutively working on your own personal comic book project. And I'm working on my graphic novel Quarterly Stories, which is my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. That's a very personal story to me that I handwrite, hand letter, hand ink, and then hand to you, hopefully someday in print. But until that day, it's available serialized online at quarterlystories.com. And if you feel so inclined, you can also check it out on the Tapas app by going to tapas.io and searching for Quarterly Stories in your library and adding it to your library there. That is a really good way to support the making of this comic and to hopefully grow the readership of it. And so day 74, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like one day away from being 3/4 of the way done, and feeling good about a few things. One is I'm excited to get to pencils. That's my goal today. So when I'm done with this kind of introduction, I'll show you the results of me penciling panel 1, which is what I will do in the future when I get home. I'm right now commuting home from where I work as a full-time art director, and I'm looking forward to seeing my son and doing book time and all that fun stuff. I'm just trying to stay in focus, trying to stay in gear. Right now it's an interesting time in the challenge because it does feel like all of the habits are really ingrained and set, so it's just a matter of showing up and doing the work, which I think is a big trick to being successful in comics in the first place. Is I think that a lot of people just don't show up and just don't do the work, and I'm kind of amazed by how far that can get you in life, just the fact of showing up and doing the work. And that translates to things outside of comics, just at my workplace too. Just showing up, doing the work, and it's kind of amazing how far that'll take you in a creative department, professionally, and also when it comes to personal projects. A lot of people don't treat it with the same respect or the same level of interest that they would a day job. And the thing that I'm excited about with this challenge is it's a good reminder for me that when I show up and I do the work on my own comic, that magically I start seeing results. So I have that on my mind. I have a couple other things on my mind. One is that I really want to catch up on what everybody's doing in the Hundreds Challenge. There's a lot of other people taking this challenge that I really like watching the videos of, and I haven't had the capability or the time to basically check out their stuff. And that also makes me realize and value like those of you who are watching my videos, because it's hard. It's an investment to take the time to kind of check out somebody else's stuff. And we're all leading really busy lives, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to kind of spend some time with me and check in on how I'm doing on the challenge. I'm excited about being on the latter half of it, and I'm starting more and more to think that this challenge is something I should try to kind of roll straight through and go into the second part of it, because really at the end of the day I really need to be making comics about 365 days out of the year. I mean, if I really want to get this thing done, that's the kind of commitment it's going to take. However, it's funny, somebody asked me in the chats on a video a couple videos ago, like what my thoughts were about kind of like whether I've seen a mass improvement in my turnout due to the 100 Days Challenge. And I can't honestly say that I have. I think that every once in a while, having like one day, if you're going hard and working every single day, having one day off is probably not a bad idea, in the sense of like recharging, being able to gain energy for the next day. But at the same time that I'm saying that, I do also kind of sneakingly suspect that I might have made more progress, and I kind of want to measure it a little more if I end up doing this challenge again. I want to do a better job of kind of charting what my progress is like. And in order to do that in a comparable way, I'd have to chart my progress without doing the 100 days challenge. So, but I can say I'm happy with the progress I've made so far in the challenge. And one thing I like is the fact that it's forced me to engage on my YouTube channel more and to make more content. The only thing that's the downside of that is the fact that the content is very short videos, and it's not necessarily always going to be helpful for people. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the content. I'm pretty happy with the 100 days challenge, and I do feel like overall it's been pretty interesting, useful, and it might even have boosted my productivity. It's just hard to say, but it did get me thinking. So I have that going on. I'm basically just trying to prepare myself to pencil panel 1 for page 63 of Quarterly Stories, and I'm excited because I think I literally have like one page left after this one before I can get into the next chapter, and I'm really excited about the stylistic shift that I'm going to be able to do, and some of the stuff I'm going to be able to do once this chapter is wrapped up. So yeah, for those of you who are like unfamiliar with Quarterly Stories and the format of it, I switch styles occasionally to this much more kind of simplistic, cartoony style that is, it's more shape-based drawing, where it's like silly little cartoon characters. And I use that mostly in the memoir moments that are kind of dipping back into like my childhood memories and stuff like that. And it kind of has to work thematically to fit the story, but I do feel like the story's gotten rather heavy and it ends on a pretty dark note, much like the first chapter did. And so I think we're overdue for a little bit of lightheartedness, something that'll kind of lighten the mood for the reader, so they can prepare to kind of get into the meat of the story. So yeah, so that's one thing that's on my mind. I'm kind of curious for those of you who are writing stories out there and working on comics, if you guys really consider that, like, and you know, maybe not, but I mean, I wonder if those of you who are working on stories, like, really take into consideration, like, if there's like a really serious part in your story that's a little emotionally heavy, if you try to kind of balance it out with like a little bit of lighthearted humor in between, so that it's a little more palatable for the reader. That's something I really think about a lot, and the reasoning for it, as silly as it is, and it's going to come across as sounding like kind of snooty or cliche, but it's something I noticed that Shakespeare does a lot. Like in Hamlet, he'll kind of break these really heavy moments with these really silly kind of gag bits. So it's like he kind of throws in comedy to lighten up tragedies when he's writing tragedy. And I think it makes it a little more palatable. I think he did the same technique with Romeo and Juliet. And I mean, it's a smart idea to kind of like really, you know, have either a really funny character or have like a lighter theme that you can kind of weave in with the heavy themes. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like, so far, I can't really tell if it's successful or not until I'm done and I can put this thing out. So yeah, so that's pretty much what's on my mind. So hopefully, what I'll cut to after this is me working on, or at least showing you the progress on the pencils for panel 1. Another thing that I'm going to mention before cutting away is just the fact that it's funny that I have such a long commute to get to work that often on my way home, I'm really fighting the urge to like go to sleep when I get home, or just to watch TV and eat junk food and just do all this stuff that like has nothing to do with my goals. So my goal, before even getting into that, is to hit the workout that I built and kind of ingrained as a habit. So to get back to that, so that's my goal when I get home, is to do that first, and then hopefully do the pencils for my comic next, and then update this vlog. And yeah, I can't say enough though how excited I am about tomorrow, because I'm really stoked about how these recordings are coming out, and it's fun to see this band thing kind of coming together. And I'm excited because once we cut a demo, it'll open our options for where we can play, and it'll also, you know, give us some fun stuff, like, you know, maybe we can make an EP or something, get this thing mastered. You know, I could like properly release it, not like through like a massive record label or something like that, but I'm excited about it. And so yeah, so that's pretty much what's on my mind. And just I have to admit, I'm feeling a little bit proud of myself, and I don't know if that's bad, but I'm like, because I'm not a big fan of like pride, like self-pride, but I'm proud of the fact that I've gotten this far in the challenge so far and managed to stay true to it for like every day of the challenge. It's actually quite a challenge to do without one day, and I'm feeling good about the fact that like I'm finally on the half of the part of the challenge where I can see a light. There's hope. I'm almost there. I'm almost to completion. So it's funny, I'm at like kind of the same point in the challenge percentage-wise that I am on my comic, which, you know, in the same way, I'm over the halfway point, and I'm creeping more and more towards the 3/4 of the way done point. Right now, I'm more like in the 2/3 done, but man, I can't wait to get to the 3/4. And yeah, I'm rambling a lot right now, but I'll just keep rambling, because I feel like it's heading towards something that might be interesting for people who are going through the challenge or whatever. To me, like, because what I'm working on is such a long, kind of arduous process, and I think comics on their own are just kind of like a really time-consuming process. And I think because of that, it's become really important for me to kind of keep my morale up, my own personal morale, and my own motivation up for getting this thing accomplished. Having little markers like the 3/4 point or the 1/2 point, because it kind of like a marathon. Imagine running like a massive marathon without any markers of where you've come so far. It's very hard to kind of visualize the finish line when there aren't markers along the road. And so I like to come up with like little mental markers, like for instance the end of this chapter that I'm so excited about. Part of why I'm excited about it, it's like I'm running a marathon, and it got to that point where I'm, you know, a good chunk of the way through the race. That's just it's a really good feeling to kind of know it's right around the corner. So yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble, and let me show you some comics now. Here are the pencils for panel 1. Comicking for the night complete. Alright, so that'll do it for day 74 of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. Thanks to those of you who've liked, shared, commented, and subscribed, which you can do right here, to my YouTube channel. It means a lot, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.